Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Simply Cyber Daily Cyber Threat Brief. I am not Jerry Auger. He's out today. I'm filling in. I'm the one, Mr. Daniel Lowry, here to help you out with that Daily Cyber Threat Brief. Going to have a little good time today talking about cyber stuff, looking through the headlines, figuring out, hey, what's going on out there this week, listening to that CISO series that we do every day. This is a lot of fun. This is October the 16th. It is 8 a.m. Eastern Time. For those of you keeping score at home, this is episode number 985. Wow, that's a lot. Man's almost up to 1,000 episodes of the Daily Cyber Threat Brief. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? I know I sure can. It's crazy. But we're so glad that he does this, and I'm glad to be able to fill in for Jerry for either he's taking a respite or he's got other things he's got to do. Whatever the case is, I will be filling in the hot seat for him today. If you're new to the Daily Cyber Threat Brief, this is a bit of an op-ed where we read the news and we kind of go through there and go, well, what do I think about this? What do we think about that? I've got the chat in here already. See a lot of great people showing up this morning. A lot of people I know, a lot of people I don't. So it's always fun to come in here and meet new folks, talk that cyber business we love ever so much. Another fun little fact about the Daily Cyber Threat Brief is that you can earn yourself a cool 0.5, one half of a full CPE credit per episode. So I think you're supposed to take a screenshot of this bad boy and make sure you keep that in a folder somewhere so that when you're ready to cash those in, you take that number, you divide by 2, and that'll tell you how many actual CPUs that you've gathered up for the year. A lot of fun stuff there. Okay, that said, I think that's a bit of what's going on here. Now, of course, as we do, we have to keep the lights on. We've got to do that thing. And with some great sponsors out there that I'm about to show you, we make that happen. So let me go ahead and get the sponsor stuff out of the way. It's going to be great. And Jerry, help us out with that, if you would, please, sir.
Want to give some love to Fortify 365, the Microsoft 365 configuration solutions from Barricade Cyber Solutions. Barricade Cyber brings you all the knowledge in the incident response form, but they are also quite adept at helping you configure and set those protection controls for your M365 instance. Go to fortify365.com today to talk to Eric Taylor and the team over at Barricade Cyber and make sure that you are taking full advantage of all the configurable security controls that you have in your M365 instance. Fortify365.com today. Also want to give some love and some shouts to Anti-Siphon Training. Holla, holla, holla at Anti-Siphon Training, the group that is disrupting the traditional cybersecurity training industry by offering high-quality, cutting-edge education at a discounted rate for so many people out there. Their rates are insane. Some of their courses free or pay what you can. It's amazing. Go to antisyphontraining.com today. Check their upcoming live training, their on-demand training, government and military discounts. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. I love it. Maybe not government and military discounts. I made a mistake. They've just aligned their training to the NIST NICE framework. Also pretty awesome. Thank you, antisyphontraining.com. And of course, as always, we've got ThreatLocker kicking it. We'll hear from them and then back to the news. I want to give some love to the Daily Cyber Threat Brief sponsor, ThreatLocker. Do zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keep you up at night? Well, worry no more. You can harden your security with ThreatLocker. Worldwide, companies like JetBlue trust ThreatLocker to secure their data and keep their business operations flying high. ThreatLocker takes a deny-by-default approach to cybersecurity and provides a full audit of every action allowed or blocked for risk management and compliance. Onboarding and operation is fully supported by their US-based Cyber Heroes support team. Get a free 30-day trial and learn more about how ThreatLocker can help prevent ransomware and ensure compliance. Visit threatlocker.com/dailycyber.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Jerry, for reading those ads for us. Now, if any of those sponsors sound like something you need to get your hands on, link is in the description of this episode. So there you go. You can avail yourself of those resources. All right, now let's check in with the old chatteroo. Let's see who's in the house today. I see Phil Stafford. I see Roswell UK, Rhonda Rummerfield, Marcus Kyler, Oh, Code Brew's in the house. Who else we got? Phil Stafford's in there. Who else we got? Bryant Peak. Grady Debonair. I like that. Yeah. So much fun. Who else? Zombie Guy. We got BW5542. Space Tacos. This is fun. Tech Grunt, my man. Good to see you, good sir. Sabertooth Sam. Like that name. That's cool as well. Amish Runaway. We got so many cool people showing up. Steve Young, Keith Sloan, Mark Lester. Man, what a great day. What a great day. A lot of great people showing up there. I just want to give a shout out to the chat because the chat is so much fun. Always have a great. Oh, did I just see Haircut Fish? I think I just saw Haircut Fish. Oh, and Mr. Dan Reardon. He'll be making an appearance here shortly as well, at least in some disembodied form, but it'll be a lot of fun. All right. So that said, you know what time it is. It is time to finally get to the news of the day. We use the CISO series. But let's get this party started, right? Let's get it started quickly, shall we? And I will.
From the CISO series, it's cybersecurity headlines.
These are the cybersecurity headlines for Thursday, October 16th, 2020.
Recca. All right, let's try that one more time. Give it to me.
From the CISO series, it's cybersecurity headlines.
These are the cybersecurity headlines for Thursday, October 16th, 2025. I'm Sarah Lane. Mango discloses data breach. Spanish fashion retailer Mango disclosed a data breach after one of its external marketing vendors was compromised, exposing customer data including first names, countries, postal codes, emails, and phone numbers. Financial and identity data were not affected, and Mango's internal systems reportedly remain secure. The company has notified Spain's Data Protection Authority and set up a support hotline for affected customers. No ransomware group has claimed responsibility.
Oh, no ransomware group has claimed responsibility. Well, good for them. I'm glad. It was an accident. It wasn't even a ransomware group. It was just Billy was messing around with, crypto locking things. He was taking a CEH course or something. And he was like, I probably shouldn't have put this on production stuff. But, I'll go contact the higher ups. I'm sure they'll be fine with it. Won't be a problem. But, oh my goodness, don't you just love the good old news? So let's see here. What's going on with this? Like Jerry, I have not prepped any of this stuff. We just kind of go at it hot take style and see what goes on here. Clothing giant Mango. No more Mango for you because you're taking your business elsewhere. Usually when these things happens, well, not really. A lot of people just go, what are you going to do? It's just another day, another data breach. Spanish fashion retailer. Well, I guess this is in Spain. I'm guessing. I'm not great with geography, but I'm going to go with Spain. Almost went with Portugal, but I'm going to stick with my first gut instinct here. So tell me a little bit about, they've got 2,800 locations across 120 countries. All right. The company employs 16,300 people. So they're kind of a big deal. Annual revenue of $3.3 billion. I could see why a threat actor would go, you know what? We've been sleeping on the retail clothing market industry. We need to get on that because there's some deep pockets over there. Approximately 30% comes from online purchases. So 10% of that would be like 100. So it's like, yeah, they're making, a little over $250 million on just online retail purchases. That means they got what else are they doing? Where's the other 2.75 billion bucks coming from? That's what I want to know. Let's see here. The company, they sent out their data breach notification. That's right. Pull out the playbook, kids. Okay, so there's been an incident. We are not going to say that it was a threat actor at this point in time because we haven't received a ransomware note yet. Sure, that's coming. But I can only imagine that if we keep reading here that there is some. So like how did they detect? That's what I want to know. Okay, the company sent a data breach notification to its customers informing them that personal data used in marketing campaigns had been compromised. I mean, it's not like they haven't been selling it to everybody and their brother with the right amount of money anyway, right? Mango wishes to inform you that one of its external marketing services. Oh, so they're using a third-party marketing vendor, And that's why you got to check your supply chain, right? That it's not just about your security. It's about the people that you're doing business with, who you have a trust relationship with. What's their security like? And choose your friends wisely, right? Because you are who you hang out with, as my mama used to say. Let's see here. Unauthorized access to certain customer personal data, the types of data exposed in this incident. First name, country, postal code, email address, telephone number. Right. Typical marketing stuff, but could very well be used by threat actors for things like, oh, I don't know, identity theft, right? That's always fun for you. Like, I just wanted to buy a nice shirt off of Mango, and all I got for it was a t-shirt that says, all I got was PII stolen. Mango specified that the last name's banking information, credit card data, ID, passports, and credentials were not compromised in this incident. And they say that most likely, in my humble opinion, keeping it legal, is that's what the playbook says to say. We slow roll out the fact that all these things are most likely what happened. Again, hedging bets, right? You see how we do that? Because I got to hedge bets against them hedging bets. It's too much fun. We're playing this lovely little shell game of where's the blame? Where's the blame? But yeah, it's not uncommon for us to see organizations to say, hey, this didn't go quite as well as we had hoped. And actually, there was PII and all these other things that have been leaked are bad. What are you going to do? I don't like this view. I'm going to try a different view. Let's try that one. Yeah, much better. So yeah, I'm totally not surprised if that's what ends up happening in just a week, maybe two, as they start to tell you more and more about the breach. And of course, they do have to learn stuff about it. Who knows what they fully know at this point? But it says the absence of last names in the exposed data lessens the risk. Okay, attackers can still use the remaining compromised data in a phishing attacks. But what did they get? The last names, banking information, credit card were not, but what they did get was your first name, your country, your postal code, your email address, which many times does include your last name, your phone number. I do a reverse lookup on phone numbers. I'm sure I can script that out pretty quickly. Let's see here. Noted that their IT infrastructure systems remain unaffected, so business operations weren't impacted. Good for them. We inform you that everything is fully functional and normal. Manco's okay. So there you go. There's their, hey, our bad, stuff happened. We wish it hadn't, but it did. But nothing about how it happened. I hate I hate articles that do not tell you how did this go down. Activated upon learning the data breach, a marketing service provider was not been named. The company also stated that the Spanish Data Protection Agency and relevant authorities have been notified about the breach. Dedicated email address and telephone hotline have been established to support customers concerned about the potential exposure from this incident. Like it's COVID or something, right? I've been exposed. It's the outbreak, monkey. It's got me. That was the scariest movie ever. Hellraiser isn't as scary as Outbreak. Bleeping Computers contacted to learn more about the cyber attack and the scope of impact, but we have not received a response at the time of this publication. Oh, shocker. No ransomware groups have announced, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. To be continued, I guess, on that one. Good for you there, Mango. Hope it works out for you. All right, go into the next one.
Threat group Julebug infiltrates Russian IT network. Chinese-linked threat group Julebug conducted a 5-month intrusion targeting a Russian IT service provider, gaining access to code repositories and software build systems. Symantec links Julebug to previous activity clusters and notes the group uses stealthy techniques, including cloud services, renamed Microsoft debugging tools, DLL sideloading, and credential dumping.
There we go. That's a fun one. So Julebug, huh? This is a Chinese threat actor. Hello. I gotta love a good Chinese threat actor. They're out there threat acting, doing the thing that they do. Quietly infiltrating Russian IT network for months. By the way, if you hear a lawnmower, somebody has decided to get a new lawnmower service and they are outside my door. So hopefully that's not interrupting us. But let's take a look and see what's going on with the new Chinese threat actor, or at least the one that I haven't heard of with this jewel bug business. Has been attributed to 5-month-long intrusion against a Russian IT service provider. That's interesting that they're going after Russia. I wonder if that means that they're not state-sponsored, if that makes them, because last time I knew, China and Russia, they've got some business. They're in the whole BRICS thing together and things of that nature. So it would be interesting if they're like, yeah, we can do this whole BRICS business, but cyber warfare, it's on the table. Just FYI. Let's see here. So they went after an IT service provider, marking the hacking group's expansion in the country beyond Southeast Asia and South America. So they typically stick in those regions, but now they are branching out. They're growing. They're in a growth period. That's what's going on there. The activity, which took place from January to May, been attributed to Broadcom-owned Symantec to threat actor tracked as jewelbug. Overlaps clusters known as, so they're also known as CLSTA0049 and Earth Alux and Ref 7707. Findings suggest Russia is not off limits for Chinese cyber espionage operations, despite increased military, economic, and diplomatic relations between Moscow and right. That's okay. So I was not completely crazy, and I guess the funny scenario that I came up with is kind of accurate. They're like, oh yeah, you guys are awesome. Love you, babe. Love you. Just FYI, harden your cyber stuff. And, we're just going to let you know that we're going to do that. And we expect the same from you. Yeah. Keep your enemies close and your friends close and your enemies closer, I guess, or your other way around, right? Let's see here. Attackers had access to code repositories and software build systems that they could potentially ever carry out supply chain attacks. That is our favorite thing this year, isn't it? Supply chain attacks. You know what? I'm not going to go after you directly. What I'm going to do is, again, this is kind of the same thing what we saw with the marketing, right? You go after something that you use, and that becomes, not directly the Trojan horse, like when you think of a virus type Trojan, where it's a game or it's a weather app or whatever, but inside is malware and it does malware things. But it's the, hey, the legitimate company that you use to help build your website or to help do whatever, it's technology, it's marketing, it's whatever. We infiltrated them because their security straight up sucks. And that was easy because you got the iron fence around you. So we use them. And since you trust them, now we're in, and welcome to the party, in a bad way. All right, let's see here. Symantec Threat Hunter team said in a report, notably to the attackers exfiltrating data to the Yandex cloud. That would make one think that they are Chinese that are doing this. Let's see here. Any other cool thing about this? They assessed it to be active since at least the second quarter of 2023, with attacks primarily targeting government, technology, logistics, manufacturing, telecommunications, IT services, childcare, grocery stores. It looks like, what are they not? That would have been an easier list to fill out. Is what are they not targeting? Because it seems like everything. Regions to deliver malware like Varget, I can't even pronounce that. Varget. I'm going to go with Varget. I like that. And CoBeacon, Cobalt Strike Beacon. Oh, if you're not familiar with Cobalt Strike, it's a fun C2 that a lot of red teams enjoy and deploy in their operations. It's very useful. It's very customizable, which makes it easy to kind of manipulate it into bypassing EDR detection and things of that nature. Attacks mounted, on the other hand, have been observed distributing an advanced backdoor named Final Draft, aka Squid Door, that's capable of infecting both Windows and Linux systems. The findings from Symantec mark the first time these two activity clusters have been tied together. Interesting. So I don't know if that's always been the case, that they've always used these capabilities, and now, that they've always used capabilities and now they're just being able to tie them two together. It's an interesting thing. That's what it seems like. In the attack aimed at the Russian service provider, What are they going after here? They have leveraged a renamed version of the Microsoft Console Debugger, cdb.exe, which can be used to run shellcode and bypass applications, allow listing, as well as launch executables, run DLLs, and terminate security. This is where it kind of gets deep in the weeds on the red team stuff, on the hacky hack funness, where they're like, cool, we'll just take this Microsoft Console Debugger thing, we'll insert some horrible malwareiness that happens. It'll still run this most likely. The name is the same. It's probably got some code signing that they use that they've stolen. They steal, they do all sorts of stuff to make it look like the legitimate software. And therefore, if you're doing anything like application allow listing, where you're only allowed to run these applications, cdb.exe being one of them, because it's the Microsoft Console Debugger, you're good. But it's the bad version of the Microsoft Console Debugger. So once you start launching executables and DLLs, it's and then terminate security solutions, that's a bad time had by all. Then they get into the oldies but goldies, cred dumping, establishing persistence with scheduled tasks, attempting concealed traces by clearing event logs. It's tale as old as time. I've seen it 1,000 times. You hate to see it, but it is the name of the game. So once I've gained access into your system, and now I can start doing all sorts of stuff. I create a scheduled task. I give it some innocuous looking name. And actually, I probably want to give it some kind of name that makes it look like you don't want to shut this off. You want to make sure that it continues doing the thing it do. Anything else here? Targeting IT of service providers is strategic as it opens the door to possible supply chain attacks, enabling threat actors to leverage the compromise to breach several downstream customers all at once through malicious software updates. This is a big article. My goodness. The malware uses Graph API and OneDrive for command and control, and can collect system information, enumerate files, targeted machines. My goodness. Gotta love OneDrive being used in a way that it was not intended. But hey, if it's there, it's going to happen. Anything else? All right. Lots of stuff in there. We got more articles to get to. Definitely check out. I mean, this is a lot going on in this. Leveraging LSAS and Mimikatz for dumping creds. A lot of good information in here. If you really want to take the deep dive down into, hey, what do threat actors do? I want to start kind of learning more about cyber threat intelligence and maybe building a threat profile around this specific actor, Julebug. You could do that. That could be a great write-up. That could be a great way to add something to your portfolio of things you're doing in cyber. It'll take you some time and effort to do, but it could be really cool and a great way to stand out in the job crowd there. All right, let's get back to its next article. Is
5 discloses breach tied to nation state threat actor. CISA issued an emergency directive after F5 disclosed that a nation-state actor had long-term access to its systems, stealing big IP source code and details on undisclosed vulnerabilities. Agencies now have to patch affected F5 products by October 22nd and report deployments by October 29th. The breach was discovered back in August and exposed configuration data for some customers, but didn't show supply chain tampering. F5 says it's expelled the attackers while working with CrowdStrike and Mandiant. CISA warned the stolen data poses a significant threat to federal networks.
This is no big deal, I'm sure, right? This is just an overreaction of CISA. Yeah, man, I'd love to have fun with these. But thank you, Sarah Lane. Nobody does it like Sarah Lane. I don't know why that just popped in my head, but it did. I'm a crazy person. Anywho, CISA warns of significant threat to federal networks after nation-state hackers stole F5 source code. So yeah, that's a problem. I don't know if you're familiar with F5. I'm actually gonna let me try something here. I think this would be cooler. Yeah, there we go. Let's try that. So let's look up F5 real quick here. F5. Who are you, F5? Multi-cloud security and application delivery. They're kind of a big deal. I don't know if you've heard of F5, but they are the industry's premier platform. Yeah, even if they do say so themselves, right? Says, so I've heard of F5 because it's big data, right? They They've got their load balancers and things to kind of they are kind of a big deal when it comes to running the internet, right? Delivery, API gateway, CDN, DNS, load balancing, multi-cloud networking. They also have this deployment area down here with hardware, DPU, Kubernetes software, and SaaS platform. We've got security platform. So they cover a lot of stuff. Access security, AI gateway, data leakage prevention, network firewall, a WAP, zero trust, and now they're getting into XOps, which is policy management, analytics and insights, orchestration, automation, AI. So they do a lot, and they are used by various and sundry and many different. And you can see where they're showing you where they're the leader in things, right? So like when you see, I don't know if you can see that is a tiny, tiny picture. I'll do my best to make a picture, but right around there says AWS, right? Over here is F5. Okay, so they if they're leading AWS in something, that's insane. Looks like it's the overall market leader in WAP, web application. What is WAP? There we go. Define that for us, would you? I love how they use but they never tell you what is WAP, and not the stupid song. I know where you're going, Roswell, UK. I see you. I can hear you. Define WAP. Not warp. Oh, goodness gracious. No. Do the thing, computer. Stupid internet. Web application API protection. There you go. There you go. So, man, searching the internet live at 5, that's a dangerous proposition right there, kiddos. All right, so let's see here. What'd they get into? What's the problem? That's still this. This is what we're looking for. No, not that one. This is where we're at. Federal government. All right. What we do here is cybersecurity infrastructure has identified a significant cyber threat targeting federal networks utilizing certain F5 devices. So this has had a nation state actor has had long-term persistent access to the source code and information about undisclosed vulnerabilities. This is a holy crap right here. This is rut-row raggy. This is no bueno. A nation state threat, imminent risk. Yes, absolutely. So exploit vulnerabilities in F5 products, gain unauthorized access to embedded credentials and API keys. This is a dumpster fire. Oh man, I do not want to be at F5 today. That is for sure. Such exploitation could allow the threat actor to move lateral. Yeah, you think? Because basically they have the keys to the kingdom. They have access to unknown vulns and things of that nature, API keys. They can do whatever they want, right? It's Brian Regan. Do whatever you want and establish persistent access. Yeah. And then anybody using their system or systems is in trubs. Oh man, what is up? CISA officials declined to say what nation state was behind this. Obviously, they're not aware of any potential data compromise within the federal government. Sure, you're not. I mean, that might be true, but it's probable, right? Don't have any federal agencies at this time that confirm the compromise. Okay, that's good, I guess. We'll keep rocking. He added that there are thousands of F5 devices across the federal network. CISA will be holding informational calls about the F5 issue. I bet they will. I bet this is all hands on deck at this point in time. CISA told federal civilian agencies that the threat actor's access to F5 prior source code could provide the threat actor with a technical advantage to exploit F5 devices and software. You darn tootin' it could. Oh, racker-fracker. Oh, you darn threat actors. When I says whoa, I means whoa. They just get to craziness, man. If they get somebody as big as F5, that is these are the nightmare scenarios that keep CISOs up at night. Oh, any other thing? The alarming ease with which these vulnerabilities can be exploited by malicious actors demands immediate and decisive action. So here's where I get frustrated with technology, like cybersecurity in general. It's like, is it even possible to secure something? Or Is it just the fact that we're just not doing it well enough? And if so, why? Why are we not doing it well enough? And what is stopping us? Like, let's beat the brakes off of security and just, beg for forgiveness and ask for permission, maybe. I don't even know, because I know there's a lot of good cyber pros that are out there and IT pros that are out there that know what to do. And for whatever reason, it's not happening. You know what I mean? So I know that they're very sensitive. We're probably going to get to one next. And I know we're kind of at the mid roll. We got one more to get to before we do that. So let's jump on that. I mean, this is a tire fire. We all can see this. When somebody as big as F5 gets popped, that's a bad day at the beach. All right, let's go to the next one with Microsoft. Let's hit it.
Windows Server updates cause Active Directory issues. Microsoft confirmed that September's Windows Server 2025 updates are breaking Active Directory synchronization, affecting services like Microsoft Entra Connect Sync. The bug prevents full sync of large AD security groups exceeding 10,000 members. Microsoft issued a registry workaround, but warned it could cause system issues if done incorrectly. A permanent fix is in development. The company is also addressing a separate update failure affecting Windows 11 24H2 and Windows Server 2025 when installing from network shares.
So just amazing things happening all around. It's going to be awesome sauce. Yeah. So this is why things don't get patched in a timely manner, is because sometimes it's scary to patch because it might break things. Today is an example of this, right? So server updates are causing Active Directory issues. Fun fact, Active Directory is probably one of the most used technologies in all of IT, in all of technology. If you have people and you have systems and you have groups and emails and access and objects and things in your network, you are most likely using Active Directory to keep all that stuff straight. And with group policy and all the fun stuff that comes around with using Active Directory, it's a really great thing. It's not great when the people that make it issue a patch that breaks the crap out of it, right? That's a problem. Okay, let's see what they say here. Health dashboard update. This is known to affect the Active Directory domain services synchronization, including Microsoft Entra Connect Sync. So perfect. So you're like, I'm in the cloud. Forget it. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Oh, goodness. Applications that use the Active Directory synchronization control for on-prem AD services. Hold on now. Here, tinfoil hat Daniel time. Did they do this to push you to get off of that on-prem AD stuff? Get into Entra. Just if it was all Entra ID, this wouldn't have been an issue, right? I mean, yeah, we messed up. Or did we? I don't know, but it would be funny. I mean, not for the people that are like languishing over this happening, but as an observer that doesn't have to worry about that. That's neither here nor there. Let's see here. So if you're connecting between your cloud environment and your on-prem stuff using the Entra Connect sync, that can result in an incomplete synchronization of a large security groups exceeding 10,000 members. So good news is this is just it. Is it saying that up to so basically any size group, or it's only groups that are exceeding 10,000 members that this causes problems with? This issue occurs only on Windows Server 2025. Okay, well, that's cool. That does kind of shorten or like focus the scope a little bit down. Let's see here. And here is the actual security update for that. Microsoft adds that its engineering teams are currently working, right? So they give you some workaround until the fix is available. But if you don't get this absolutely positively correctly, right, it's going to hose you. So there it is. You go to computer, HQ, local machine, system, current control set, policies, Microsoft, feature management, overrides. And there's your stuff. There's what you give it this name, dereg value. Okay, so it's not that difficult. Just got to make sure you're in the right spots. However, the company warns serious problems may occur if you do this wrong. So just FYI, kids, get it right and get it right. Those are your 2 rules of this Fight Club is don't do it wrong and make sure you do it right. Then you're good. It says it cannot guarantee that these problems can be solved. Now, admins modify the registry at their own risk. Yeah. Look, I know we caused the problem, but if you try to fix it with the fix that on workaround that we told you about, that's on you, player. I can't be held responsible for all these things. I mean, what do I look like? Right? This is we've become very reliant on our technology systems, kiddos. And this is what is kind of thing that can happen when that happens. Let's see here. Didn't share what's causing they're not telling us why this happened because they don't. The one thing I know about Microsoft is they do not talk about Fight Club at all. It's not a problem. It's something else. It's an anomaly, right? It's not a hack. It's an anomaly. Microsoft is also working to fix another no-no. So yeah, it's just dumpsters are on fire everywhere over in Redmond. So they've got working on a fix on another known issue impacting Windows 11, 24H2, and Windows Server 2025 devices that causes Windows update failures when installing updates. And as we know, that's fun. It's always fun when you're like in the middle of applying an update and you lose power or whatever. And then, of course, it just hoses the entire operating system. That never happens. But it's only if you're using the installing updates from a network share using the Windows Update standalone installer. So maybe that's probably a much less of a big issue. It's probably many fewer people that are doing it that way. While a fix for this bug has not been yet released for all customers, Redmond is mitigating it automatically on home and non-managed devices via the known issue rollback. Cool. All right. So, goodness gracious, man. This like 6 articles in one with this. And the previous one. What is going on? These are such long articles. We got 8 to get through. Let's hit the mid-roll. Let's do that. I don't have fun stuff to do with the music and everything, because Jerry's dealing with trying to figure out what's going to happen there. But we do have the thank you to our sponsors card, Jerry's lovely face in the mid-roll. You all have the same music running through your head that I do, right? Yeah, cool. So thank you to everyone. Barricade Cyber Solutions, Threat Locker, Delete Me, Anti-Siphon, Flare, all help make this show happen. So grazie. We appreciate you making this occur. All great stuff. Check out all these people for all the reasons that they are in business, and maybe you find a solution that is right for you. Like I said, avail yourself of these wonderful resources. And of course, it is Thursday, and I believe this is called What's Your Meme? Dan Reardon, the haircut fish. He does a meme for us. I don't have the cool card with him. I don't have that. But I do have the meme of the week, and it's a fun one. It's a good one. He sent it to me last night. I had a good chuckle. Let's all have a chuckle together, which is, muhaha, it is Halloween is upon us. And you can see that I am out with my children, or child, which is the Lord's camo cup. That's a handsome kid right there. And of course, I'm dressed up as a monster, because what else would I be dressed up as for Halloween? Hello. And there's Dan hiding in the background right over here, having a great time as a giant skeleton at this house. Lovely decorations, Dan. I love what you've done with the place. This is not 100% distilled pure nightmare fuel for children right there, but hey, I can't wait to bring my kid and get some candy and watch them not sleep due to the sugar buzz, as well as the fear that has gripped their little hearts. So Dan, that's a great one, man. This is so much fun. I love that you do this stuff. Always a good time. I love bringing the fun back into cybersecurity, right? We got to have a good time. Let me check in with chat. I haven't looked at chat in a hot minute. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Let's see how it's going over there. How you guys doing today? Thirsty Thursday, Phil Stafford says. Yeah, that is a different definition for Thirsty Thursday. That is correct. This large camo's cup is chef's kiss. It is. I do love that. You're welcome, Dan. You're welcome, man. Oh, let's see here. What's going on? Some of these I'm just not reading out loud. When break fix, the real Kyle says when break fix becomes fix break. Yeah. Talking about Microsoft. My goodness, kiddos. Here's a fun fact about me. Daniel owns a company that produces. No, I don't. I'm not even reading that. It produces WAAP music, which is secure and unhackable versions of Eminem, Drake, and Can't Snoop on Me Dog. Oh, you guys are crazy. You guys are absolutely crazy. All right, let's see here. Moving on down the road, we've got more to get to. So let's go ahead and play that CISO series as we. They got to go through their mid-roll, so let's hammer down.
Huge thanks to our sponsor, Vanta. What is your 2 a.m. security worry? Is it, do I have the right controls in place? Or are my vendors secure? Or the really scary one, how do I get out from under these old tools and manual processes? Enter Vanta. Vanta automates manual work so you can stop sweating over spreadsheets, chasing audit evidence, and filling out endless questionnaires. Their trust management platform continuously monitors your system, centralizes your data, and simplifies your security at scale. Vanta also fits right into your workflows, using AI to streamline evidence collection, flag risks, and keep your program audit ready all the time. With Vanta, you get everything you need to move faster and scale confidently and get back to sleep. Get started at vanta.com/headlines. Power School hacker sentenced to 4 years in prison. A Massachusetts man, 19-year-old Matthew Lane, was sentenced to 4 years in prison for hacking educational software company PowerSchool and demanding a $2.9 million ransom to avoid leaking data on more than 70 million people. Lane was also ordered to pay about $14 million in restitution and a $25,000 fine. The breach, disclosed back in January, exposed social security numbers, medical data, and special education information for 60 million students and 9 million teachers. Prosecutors sought a 7-year sentence, citing Lane's history of hacking.
Well, the hits just keep on coming today, don't they? Power School hacker. Well, at least we got one of them, right? Interesting that they're 19 years old. Have you noticed there's a trend here with the youth of the world? They are the forefront leading people in cybercrime. That's always fun. We got to give them, like, what happened to baseball? What happened to, hide and go seek and red light, green light? The wayward youth. I don't know what's happening here. So a 19-year-old Massachusetts man, but I can only assume that, like, how long ago this happened, but it's gonna do 4 years. Break the law and you'll go to jail. For those of you that remember that, that's a throwback for some people that followed an old podcast that I used to be on. Let's see here. Since the 4 years in prison, demanded a ransom of $2.9 million. How did he land on 2 point? That's such a non-round number. What? Okay. So 2.9 million bucks. Let's see here. 70 million people also ordered to pay 14 million in restitution. He only got 2.9. How is he supposed to pay 14 million? That's a lot of license plates in the Massachusetts correctional facility you're about to spend time in. And a $25,000 fine. Well, I would love, I should probably read this court filing and see how we came up with that much money and that fine. Like, what's 25 grand, I guess, on top of the 14 million you gotta roll out there. All right, let's see what we can learn about this. They had sought a 7-year sentence for this. But it looks like they only got 4. Prosecutors told the judge that Lane acted out of greed and had a long history of hacking. I'm sure he did. Personal data, including social security numbers, special education status, and medical conditions for more than 60 million students and 9 million teachers were exposed in the hack, which became public in January. So, man, that's almost a year ago that they busted him. How long before that was he in their systems? How long before that has he been doing stuff? So obviously, this did not start, in January. This started a little while ago. So still kind of a kid. Crazy stuff though, man. But yeah, you're over the legal limit, man. They're going to charge you as an adult. Let that be a warning to the other would-be hackers out there. They're thinking, some great way to get some do-re-mi is to just a little ransomware, right? We'll have a little ransomware fun. What's ransomware between friends, right? Well, apparently it's 4 years in prison and a bunch of money in restitution. So just keep that on top of your head. What can we learn about this, though, right? That ransomware is still a big deal. It's still a big business, and it seems to grow just about every year. That it is widespread, and that you think that it's no big deal when it comes to personal data, but you see things like social security numbers and personal health information, PHI as well as PII, that can actually go a lot farther than just regular PII. If I have health information, I can pose as a healthcare provider that, we see that you have this type of medical history. We are working with X, Y, and Z doctors. We'd love to invite you to a study. We'd like to get you on a mailing list. We'll pay you handsomely for your time. You can develop all sorts of crazy phishing techniques that the more specificity that you use, the more effective that they'll be. Because how would they know that stuff unless it's actually them? Well, they know because they breached your data. And not only did they ransomware the people that had it, but now they're using it to do, identity theft or fish you for money. And that's another way to get money out of people, right? So that's a tire fire. Let's go on to the next one. So yeah, be prepared out there, kiddos. This one's fun.
Devs are writing secret VS Code extensions. Researchers from Wiz Security, working with Microsoft, found that over 500 VS Code and OpenVSX extensions from hundreds of publishers exposed API keys, credentials, and tokens. More than 100 of these could have let attackers push malicious updates to users, with auto updates amplifying the risk of supply chain attacks. High-risk targets include AI platforms, cloud services, and databases. Microsoft has implemented secret scanning and blocked leaky extensions, working with developers to replace them with sanitized versions.
Well, okay there. Okay, so devs are writing VS Code extensions that blab secrets by the bucket load. So this is a prime example of done is better than perfect. And you have a deadline. We got to get stuff out. I have to create a product. We have to sell. We have a business to run. And that is, in my experience, one of the major factors in what allows for these kind of things to happen, where there are vulnerabilities. We're not doing secure coding. Because if we sit around trying to figure everything out and make sure that it is perfect, secure code before it ever hits the pipeline, it'll never happen because we're not perfectly doing it. And that's one of the things that they're hoping AI is going to be able to help us with, is to reduce that stuff down to a bare minimum and still maintain a reasonable amount of time for launch and release. So let's see here. 500 extensions across the VS Code. So if you're not familiar with VS Code, cool little IDE, right? Where you get in there and you can write code, you can do stuff, and it's got these extensions. You can go into the extensions area and say, ooh, that's nice. I can colorize. I can do this. I can do that. I can add these neat options to what I'm doing in my code to make it easier and more effective of what I'm trying to make it do. So they're really cool stuff. And you download them, but some of them are, or many of them are third party, right? Like it says, developers of VS Code extensions, not VS Code, but the extensions that go there. Let's see. According to researchers that worked with Microsoft to combat an issue that could have led to some nasty supply chain attacks. Cool news is it sounds like they got ahead of this. Wiz Security, good job, Wiz Security, examined more than 500 extensions across the VS Code. So this is kind of the same kind of idea where you have like NPM and PyPy, where people put malicious packages in. It's very possible. And these aren't even specifically malicious packages purposefully. They just happen to have issues that are leaking secrets. And it says right here, by secrets, security folk typically mean things such as access and authorization tokens. Right? It's like, Billy, let me ask you a question. What are you doing? What in the actual are you doing, son? No. Goodness gracious. So let's see here. How are they leaking it, though? That's what I want to know. By secrets, security folks say blah, 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 credentials, API keys, encryption keys, certificates, and the like. Identified 67 categories of secrets, but the major could be placed into 3 groups: generative AI platforms, high-risk platforms such as AWS, GCP, Auth0, GitHub, and databases such as MongoDB and Postgres. More than 100 of the 550 plus secrets found would be given attackers access to update the extension itself. Okay, given that VS Code auto updates extensions, the potential for supply chain attack was dangerously high. Yes, so there's what we were just talking about. Let's see here. Finding issues. How are they leaking this stuff? Many of the affected machines were vulnerable because of theme downloads. While many of these things would be more benign than others, they don't introduce any code into projects. There's nothing to prevent themes from introducing malware. So that's what's the problem, is that the extension themselves collects these things, but they're not protected against introduction of malware. So therefore, there you go. And now I can just reach into and look for those things as an attacker, exfiltrate that data, and then use it to my own advantage. And the fact that they could push extension updates included, 30, referred to as a 30 billion market cap Chinese megacorp, which published an internal extension only meant for company employees. All right. So yeah, you gotta be on point when it comes to what it is that you're working with and what a business needs to do, because not everybody can be whiz, right? Not everybody can go out there and find those vulnerabilities, find that it is susceptible to malware. It is gathering all sorts of sensitive information and potentially leaking that out. So you have to have a team that stays on top of that for you, where they go and they look and they are constantly researching cyber threat intelligence and bringing that in so that they can create defenses that will help you stay out of the weeds on that. Man, it's going by fast. We got 2 more articles. Let's get to it. Let's see here. I got a little dance I got to do to make all this happen. So here we go.
200,000 Linux systems vulnerable to secure boot bypass. Researchers at Eclipsium found that around 200,000 Linux systems from Framework shipped with signed UEFI components vulnerable to secure boot bypass. Legitimate diagnostic tools included in the UEFI shells, specifically for the command, can overwrite the G-Security2 pointer, disabling signature verification and allowing attackers to load unsigned bootkits or rootkits, achieving persistent pre-OS control. Framework is issuing DBX updates to block vulnerable shells, with fixes varying by model. Experts recommend updating UEFI revocation lists, using BIOS passwords, and scanning firmware for vulnerable components.
Okay, you gotta hate when they stink and get to your BIOS, because that is an issue. Because right then there's no real protections around that, right? There's nothing has started. It is the pre-operating system, the thing that basically is the basic input output system, right? BIOS. That's what happens when you hit the power button on your computer. This is the little software that's in there that goes, okay, let me start orchestrating and spinning all these things up and gain access, and then hand that over. Once I find an operating system, once I find a disk and RAM and all the other fun stuff, then I can see, can it handle me giving it control? If it can, cool, there you go. And it hands all that stuff over. 200,000 Linux systems from Framework are shipped with, I'm assuming Framework is the laptop company, with signed UEFI components vulnerable to secure boot bypass. And of course, secure boot is to make sure that you don't boot things you ain't supposed to boot. Let's see here. That there are attacks that leverage the BIOS rootkits that can get into your BIOS and things of that nature. So you want to protect it, right? It's no different than any other software or operating system. You have to protect it as much as you can. So let's see what we got here. It's a lovely graphic, by the way. And they get these shells. Let's see what really is. I mean, is this a big nothing burger, or what's going on here? Firmware security company Eclipsium warns that 200,000 frameworks shipped with UEFI components vulnerable to secure boot bypass. Let's see here. Experts pointed out that UEFI shells aren't traditional backdoors placed by threat actors. Right. They're legitimate diagnostic tools that we use to get in there because sometimes things go a little wonky, right? But they have trusted certificates that support functionality that can be abused to bypass security controls in the boot process. Okay, but how does an attacker do that? That's what we want to know. That these shells contained a memory modifier command granting direct read-write access to the system memory. Cool. Was integrated for diagnostic purposes, as many tools are. That's what they're there for. But it can be exploited to overwrite the G-Security2 UEFI vulnerability with null, breaking the secure boot's signature verification, disabling module signature checks. So the attack targets a global variable called G-Security2, which points to the security architecture protocol. This protocol is called by the load image function. Cool. So nightmare scenario. Once the address is identified, the command can overwrite the security handler, point null, redirect functions, success without performing any verification. But how do attackers access this? What is it that we need to know? It's thanks for telling me how this works. But does that something that I really care about other than if I'm a security researcher? What we need to know is how do we defend it? That's start at the end of the movie with these kind of things. You know what I'm saying? Like start here. This is how you patch, this is how you protect. Find its memory address and okay, so more on how this happens. Researchers built Python and shell scripts to detect the command UEFI shells. Okay. This fix varies by model. And so there's one for Ryzen chips and there's one for 13th gen Intel chips. And while others are awaiting updates, firmware issues DBX updates and blacklist vulnerable shells. Okay. Hello. So there's a fix coming out. So that's good. That's what we need to know. So if there's a fix for this, you need to go and check your device. Says signed UEFI shells remain a major security risk as past flaws have allowed attackers to bypass secure boot. Once exploited, this can give nation state or ransomware actors persistent pre-OS access for espionage or sabotage. Yes. But how are they getting their hands on that? Are they getting people to update with bad UEFI updates? Is that what's going on here? And that gives them access to the shell? Or that's my question. How do I get access to the shell? I'm under the impression that you have to boot the machine and go into the BIOS, that there's not just a shell lurking on once you're in the OS. And I don't see any of that happening here. And we're running up on time for jaw jacking. We got to get to that. All right. Well, apply your patch, kids. If you're running a framework laptop and you got one of these things, you're one of the 200,000 that got popped with this. Go get your updates if they've got one available. If not, wait patiently and keep it unplugged, I guess. Let's move on.
Whisper 2FA behind 1 million phishing attempts since July. Barracuda researchers say that the phishing platform Whisper 2FA has driven nearly 1 million phishing attempts since July, making it one of the most active phishing as a service tools after Tycoon and Evil Proxy. The kit uses Ajax to repeatedly harvest credentials and MFA codes in real time, bypassing two-factor authentication. Newer versions include heavy obfuscation, base 64 XOR encoding, and anti-debugging features. Attackers impersonate brands like DocuSign, Adobe, and Microsoft 365 using invoice or voicemail lures. Barracuda calls it evidence of increasingly sophisticated full-service phishing platforms.
Okay, so yeah, this is basically the threat actor version of Evil Jinx. So reverse proxies They are very good at getting around things like, well, what they do is I say they get around them. So what Evil Jinx does, and I'm assuming that Evil Proxy is very similar in this, is um, what they'll do is as a reverse proxy, they will present you with a phishing page that looks identical to a login for O365 or whatever. And you're like, oh, I guess I got logged out because this happens to us from time to time. It goes, hey, it's time for you to log back in. Your administration has required your credentials. And you go, okay. So you grab your password manager, you pop your creds in there, and it goes, cool. What's the 2FA? You go to your authenticator app, you find the 2FA code, throw that in there, and you're logged in. Everybody's happy, right? What you didn't know was that was all fake. And since it was a proxy, it's proxying that back to actual Microsoft. Now I got a guy with a leaf blower right outside my door. I love that. Love that. Anywho, so you got that getting proxied back to actual Microsoft. So you're really sending this information. This is actually, you are actually creating a session with whatever service provider is being phished. And you actually do get logged in. You actually receive a session token. The problem is that proxy is the attacker has proxied this entire thing. So therefore they have access to all the information that goes by. So they get to do a little credential harvesting, maybe do some password spraying with that password that they just saw you throw into the box that was fake, that looked identical to a real login, but is not. And then they pass that along to Microsoft. They pass that along to whatever. And it logs in and goes, hey, give me that 2FA. They pass that right back to you and go, hey, what's your 2FA? Let me send that along. You get that 2FA, go, you put it back in the box. Cool. And then a session token is issued. They grab that. Now they can session hijack, and you're none the wiser because you're logged in. You're happy with your life. So this is with phishing platform Whisper2FA, rapidly becoming the most active tools used in large-scale credential theft. Yep, I can imagine. Evil Jinx does this, and it's very popular. Evil Jinx Pro is straight fire. So I'm not surprised that this kind of thing would be happening, right? So this kit enables this enables the phishing kit to repeatedly capture credentials and multi-factor authentication codes until it obtains a valid token. Bang. Unlike typical phishing kits that stop after stealing a password, Whisper2FA continues loops. So right. If you're thinking things like GoFish just sends the thing that it harvests the creds, and then you use the creds for password reuse. It's the MFA protections that things like Evil Jinx really stands above. And apparently this is, what was it called again? I think it's Evil Proxy, Tycoon and Evil Proxy. Attackers have been using a range of lures to deliver Whisper2FA, mimicking brands such as DocuSign, Adobe, Microsoft 365. Right. So you go to those things, you do a lot of research on what that looks like with a real login. So they'll create themselves a login, and then they'll use a proxy like Burp Suite or something to that effect to watch every step of the game. They understand everything that happens when you get to that landing page, plug in your credentials, hit next, put your 2FA in. They know every step, every call, everything that happens, and they mimic that as much as humanly possible so that your experience when they deliver it looks very similar, if not unidentifiable from or from the actual real thing. So really interesting stuff. They've also got some obfuscation techniques that go along with this thing. Let's take a look at that. Whisper2FA is rapidly evolving. You said that. The firm anti-detection techniques and technical complexity. So they're using base 64. So removing any readable text, adding dense base 64 and XOR encoding layers, and including multiple anti-debugging features such as disabling shortcuts like Shift Control I. All right, so you can't bring up the dev tools or right-click functions. So you can't bring up the dev tools. You can't look at the source code. That's the kind of thing they don't want you to do. Last variants employ an infinite debugger loop, freezing browsers if developers attempt to inspect the phishing page. Oh, now that is sheer genius. You know, I'm not a fan of threat actors, but you got to give credit where credit is due. They are crafty people. I'll use the word people. So yeah, crazy, man. They are smarts Once active, the kit can validate stolen login codes instantly through command and control systems, turning the process into a live relay between victim and attacker. Several stages: credential collection, background exfiltration, email, password data, MFA prompt requires one-time password, real-time validation of code through the attacker's backend. My word. So yeah, be on the lookout. We are out of time. My goodness, it goes by so fast. This was fun though. Let me turn this off. Go live at 5 there. But we're not quite done. We've got, you know what's up, coming right up after this, jaw-jacking AMA session. I'll be sticking around. You ask me some questions. I'll hopefully have some answers for you, and that'll be a lot of fun. Let me get this out of the way for me. So yeah, thanks for watching the Daily Cyber Threat Brief. Let me roll that lovely, where is it at? Yeah, intro to jaw-jacking. So see you in just a few seconds.
Ever wonder what it takes to break into cybersecurity? Join us every weekday for Jaw-Jacking, where industry experts answer your burning questions about the cybersecurity field. Live, unfiltered, and totally free. Let's level up together. It's time for some Jaw-Jacking.
All right, welcome back to Jaw-Jacking. This is the epic portion where we get to have some fun. We get to talk about cybersecurity, of whatever's on our mind. You got questions, I'll do my best to deliver some answers for you. And yeah, we're gonna have a great time had by all. Let me I guess I can stop sharing that. So I can start doing this, and let me get over here to this stuff that Jerry has. That is quite the dance, kids. I don't know if you know this, but Jer Bear's got himself quite the setup. There's so many moving parts. How he is, it's like spinning plates and juggling babies at the same time while you're changing their diapers. That's a fun image in your head, right? Oh yeah. Daniel went there because that's what he does. Can I do this? I can do this. Yay. I'll put that up there so we can see you guys out there. And I'll do my best to keep an eye on the chat and going for the fun stuff with your questions. So throw them in the chat if you got a question. Hit me up. I'll see what's going on. And yeah, I'll do my best to answer. Let's see here. And I'm sure it's going to take a minute because I'm fairly certain there's a delay between when you guys put stuff in the chat and when I actually receive it. All right. So here's our first question of the day, which is about Cybercast IRL, which will be tomorrow, Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. It's a lot of fun, kind of a similar format here. We just kind of get together and chat together. And Carrie's asking me, wonder what color tomorrow is the morning port? That is a great question. Even I don't know. So yeah. Good question though. It's always fun to try to guess. I wonder what the pool is up to. One question there. Let's see here. Question. Here we go. This one comes from Paris Gatsby. How bad is DHCP detection in a work environment? I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. DHCP detection you're talking about a specific detection technology that is looking for like rogue DHCP. I mean, I don't know that it's bad. Like detecting it wouldn't be bad. Having multiple DHCP servers on your network, that would be bad because that causes issues, right? So DHCP is the dynamic host configuration protocol for those of you that might not be aware. And what it does is when you need an IP, your device needs an IP address to speak on the network. Without it, it doesn't speak on the network, right? Because it's kind of like your IP address. It's in the name, right? The address that tells packets where to go. So if I'm trying to get packets from my computer to yours, I need to know what address to send it to. And that's what your IP address kind of does, as well as your MAC address and other things. But over IP networks, that's what you need. You need that DHCP to make that all happen. So if I have a DHCP server which delivers those things automatically to all the different devices that are on the network, the hosts reach out and say, hey, I need an IP address. Is there a DHCP server out there that could give me one? The first response is the one that it takes. So if I have two DHCP servers that are given the same, right, you can cause a lot of issues by having multiple DHCP servers. So yeah, having some device or whatever that's on the lookout for rogue DHCP, as Marcus Kyler says, that can be helpful. Yeah, so that would be a good thing, not a bad thing necessarily. I don't know if it would cause any kind of networking issues, but right, that's what's up. Interesting question. Thank you. Oh, this one comes from Benjamin Middleton. Yeah, I think I got that right. Benjamin, how do you time chunk to make time for post-work study projects? And you just got to do it. This is a one size fits one solution to everybody. What you do, what your job is, what your family life is like. You just got to start really taking a microscope to that schedule and figuring out, hey, where do I have free time to do these extracurricular activities? And you're probably going to lose out on some sleep sometimes. Excuse me. And that's just how it goes. That's when I find myself without enough time to get stuff done. That's when I got to go, okay, I have to be very religious about going to bed at like 9:30 and getting up at 5 or maybe earlier and reclaiming some of that time. So that would be my suggestion there, is just take a fine-tooth comb over your schedule, figure out where you have extra time to do stuff, religiously follow that, create that schedule, follow that schedule. And then if you still don't have enough time to get stuff done, then some things are going to have to be removed or taken from, like sleep. Just how it goes. Let's see here. What else is the next one? Okay, this comes from Taekwon Gong. Thoughts on hack the box hacking training. Do you believe it will create a solid hacker, or is it good to self-taught with books? I'm working on a sore throat this morning, so I'm trying to keep it from getting too bad. Let's see here. Thoughts on Hack the Box. So Hack the Box, in my estimation, has always been super good stuff. It's usually very difficult. It usually really pushes you down the rabbit hole, gives you a lot of information. Depends on what you're trying to do necessarily. They've done a really good job of kind of like bridging the skill gap from I'm an IT worker to I want to become a hacker of some kind, and in both defensive and offensive ways. So just keep that in mind. If you're new to hacking, you're new to that kind of stuff, which I know you are not. I see you lurking around quite a bit. So it's cool there. But if you are, just for the random user that's out there listening to this talk, it used to be really difficult. Hack the Box was not for the uninitiated. Yeah, that's the word. So definitely have come a long way. Hold on. I've got a text and I don't normally. Yeah, interesting. Cool. So I'm glad to see that they have done that. I really like Hack the Box. I think Hack the Box is one of my go-to that I would recommend for a lot of people. So I have good experiences with Hack the Box thus far, and you will get some deep learning with them, which I like. They give you a lot of good hands-on platform. The only thing is that I wouldn't say just Hack the Box. There's your rub, right? If you're looking for a one-size-fits-all solution, that's not how this works. You have to take what you've learned in their environments and then go, cool. How can I then? So let's take offshore, right? Now all the AD stuff that they have available. If you were learning Active Directory stuff, and there's also like, okay, well now I did that. Maybe I'm going to spit up Goad or Game of Active Directory in my home lab and work on that. But you've never actually built an Active Directory. You don't know what that's like. You don't understand what it takes to get an Active Directory spun up and create users and groups and make GPOs and connect those and edit that and make policy and set the policy and install a service and all the things that go, okay, and now Kerberos is happening. And why would I have a misconfigured Kerberos setting? Yeah, Go does that for me. Hack the Box does that for me. but I don't know why that would be. Why is this even here? Right? And how is it even here? That's where the home lab stuff comes in. That's where the other side of your equation, where you're doing self-taught stuff. That's very valuable information. Okay. So to me, it's both and, not either or. Okay, moving on. Okay, LinkedIn user asks, how many hours is my new Pentest Plus course? I just saw some info about it today. It's 24 and a half hours, if I'm not mistaken. It's 84 episodes. If you like watching Daniel do demos, if you like me going and acting like a complete idiot and having fun and making stupid jokes, then I think you'll enjoy my training. I've found that a lot of people, I really engage with it. It helps them stay. That's if I ever have the number one feedback that I get about my training is it wasn't boring. It was fun. I stayed engaged. I didn't want to stop watching it. It was fun, right? That's awesome. That's what I'm going for. But if you're a fan of an instructor with a script, with a PowerPoint slide that is a wall of text going and just monologuing about stuff for 20 minutes, then my training is not for you. I will just throw that out there. Right. So yeah. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hope that's something you're interested in. So yeah. Thanks for asking, and I do my best to cover. It's quite comprehensive. I don't know that I've covered every single solitary topic necessarily, but I did my level best to get just about every single topic in that exam, their objective list. So yeah, I made it as comprehensive as I possibly could, and hopefully that gets you to the finish line on that exam. Or if you just want to pick up some skills, no, there's no law that says if you take that course, you have to go sit the exam. You could just be like, hey, I just want to learn this stuff. All right, let's see here. Getting down the road. Gregory asked, what's the CMMA? Why do I know that? Why is that? Well, if only we had a tool that could tell us these things. I don't know. Define CMMA and technology. I don't know. Communications Media Management Associate. Does not refer to any single technology. It is an acronym across the Communications Media Management Associate, a professional organization for media managers. There's also Collateral Management Master. You're going to have to give me a little more meat on the bone because there seems to be a lot. And it does sound familiar to me, but it's not clicking. You know what I mean? I hate when that happens. Sorry about that, Greg. But if you can give me a little more information on that, spam me in the comments and I'll look for it. All right, moving on. This one, it comes from, Gregory again. What good certs to have when you're a consultant? Depends on what you're consulting, right? So if you're consulting for cybersecurity on the GRC stuff, like CISA and CISM usually are fairly good and go to CISSP, CASP, or CASP. Trying to think of anything else off the top of my head. Is CMMA a certification you were looking at? Because maybe that's where I'm thinking of. I've seen it before. So yeah, those would be good on that side of things. On the offensive side of things, obviously you've got your OSCPs of the world and your PNPTs, and a lot of people will still like to see Security Plus. It's just fairly ubiquitous. You just look at job posts and it's like Security Plus. People know the name, and therefore it could give you some credence when it comes to being a consultant. Again, it all boils down to what you're consulting. Typically, pen testers are hired consultants. They are showing you here where your vulnerabilities are, and here's the exploitation route to those things. And there you go. Here's the report that details all that information. and some mitigation strategies. That is acting in a consultancy capacity, a consultant's capacity. So yeah, so go get those Pentest Plus, right? That's one of those CEH even. Not that I like that exam or whatever, but it doesn't matter. It is something that people recognize, and you would be able to say, I do have a body of knowledge. I could consult for you on X, Y, or Z. So yeah, it's all going to depend on what you want to consult for. Let's see here. Oh, this is an interesting question. Timothy Douglas asks, what do you think about AI's introduction into cyber attacks and its impact to business around the world? Bruh, you asking questions that I don't even know that Danny boy here got time to get. How much time you got, buddy? How much time you got? I'm a bit of a cynic. I was talking to James McQuiggan about this last night after the show, the After Dark Cybercast After Dark. And I tend to lean into cynicism. It's just a personality flaw, I guess. But it makes me, a pinch of paranoia, just a pinch of paranoia. I recognize that in myself. So I always try to pull back on the reins just a bit because, tinfoil hats and all that. What? A good conspiracy theory? Heck yeah. So I feel like this, and I did talk to Dakota Snow about this on the Bearded IT Dad. That episode has yet to drop, I think. We went down the AI rabbit hole quite extensively in my thoughts and opinions on this. Here's where I kind of came down to that what it distills to is AI is a thing. It is incorporated. It's obviously made splashes in cybersecurity already. They're using it to better their phishing campaigns. It used to be easy to you buy a gift card. It's like that English is obviously not this person's first language. And it made it a little bit easier to spot things. Not that they still weren't effective, but now with AI, they can make it very effective. And that has increased. And we're going to see AI in the use of things like deepfakes. Thank you, James McQuiggan, for that entire talk last night. And just phishing links and phishing lures and all that we're doing to craft the right kind of social engineering attack to get the best possible outcome. That right there, we're already seeing that. Then it moves into, as it increases in its scope and capabilities and gets better at recognizing patterns and gets more data to train on, it's going to get better at finding vulnerabilities and exploiting vulnerabilities without us even having to touch it. We just make an agent that goes, hey, here's my client's network, get buck wild. And don't sit here and think that like, oh no, you got to have a pen tester in the mix. It's got to be a person. It's got to be a person. Yeah, but how many people do we need? If I can have 2 pen testers instead of 20 that are running AI agents that work at the capacity of 20 pen testers, right? So that's how it could impact business. They're doing it with marketing. They're doing it with graphic designers, websites, coders, entry-level junior devs. They're going, cool, unless you can dev at a level that's, I don't need you doing monotonous stuff. I can get AI to do that, and it does it well enough that I can hire one coder to run the agents to do all that coding. And then you can work on more interesting things, more creative things that AI is not quite on to yet. And then that's what we're going to see it keep moving on. So you got to be incorporating AI. You got to learn things like N8N and automation and learn agentic AI, generative AI, all the AI stuff. If you're not learning that stuff, you're going to get left behind. It's just what's up. And that includes in cyber. So that's my hot take on that. It is definitely impacting businesses around the world in a very real way and at a very fast pace. AI use. I think that ChatGPT is doubling in its use every 6 months, 6 to 7 months. Doubling its usage in every, crazy, right? So you do the math on what you think is going to happen there. Let's see here. Moving on. Checking for those. Hi, Chris Young. Good to see you. Sunshine says, I don't think I have time to do my actual job. I hear you. Let's see here. This one's from Roswell, UK. Do you use different LLMs for different things or just one, if at all? Yeah, I do actually. If I really want to code something, then for me, it's Claude. I'll use Claude. If I'm like, I need to actually write some code that's out of my scope of capabilities, or I just want to do it fast, I'm pulling out Claude. If I don't mind what the thing is, I just need something quick and dirty, it's usually Gemini, which has gotten a whole lot better. And of course, my ability to work with all of these platforms has gotten better. So Claude is not Claude. I'm sorry. Gemini is the one I probably use most just because it's at the ready. I don't have to log in. I'm always logged into Google. So it's just a gemini.google.com. They've made that an easy lift for me. And I'm fairly satisfied with the stuff that it gives me. And then ChatGPT, I have built some my own chatbots and stuff that are specific. I've done the system prompts and the master prompts for them so that they'll run as a specific type of LLM or chatbot, so that I get specific answers out of them, that I don't have to go and reinvent the wheel every time. So that's what I'll use ChatGPT for. It seems to be really good at that. The very specific stuff that I needed to give me answers on. So there you go. Hope that helps you. We got 5 minutes left. 5 minutes left. We can do it. Rolling through, looking for questions, looking for the questions. Oh man, you guys are just getting chatty this morning. Alicia Grimm says, please feel better. Thank you. Yeah, I woke up like in the middle of the night. My throat was super scratchy. And now I'm just, all the talking doesn't help, honestly. But what are you going to do? Here's one from Cyber Risk Witch. Any advice for learning guitar? Play, right? You've got YouTube, man. YouTube University, plenty of stuff on there. But just play. And kind of like you do with IT and cybersecurity, where at least I do, I like to start with the end product. Let me just see how this thing works. And then I'll kind of reverse engineer. I'll work my way backwards. How did I get here? What are the things that make this? And that's always kind of fun. Watch a lot of Rick Beato. I think that's a great way to, and anything from Paul Gilbert and Andy. Oh my goodness, is Andy Wood. Andy Wood is a phenomenal instructor. Love him. Great. And a monster player. And Paul Gilbert, monster player. Yeah, that might not be your style or whatever, but their ability to tell you what's happening and kind of incorporate the theory behind what's happening, like the playing, is really good. And Rick Beato does this whole thing where it's what makes this song great. And you learn about what music and why music works and why it's interesting. That's going to make you a much better player. And build an ear, right? At certain points in time, you're going to want to stop looking at theory and notes and things of that nature and just put on a backtrack and build an ear for things that sound good. Just play with it, right? It's going to be a lot of fun. And that will make you a good player. I learned that too late in my guitar career. All right, moving on. Questions. We got 2 minutes left. And then you got to get to the oh my goodness, it was a Cyber Mentors podcast, right? I'll look for one more question. Okay, here we go. From DKamek 002. Still new to cyber. I'm building a virtual home lab focusing on SOC environment, trying to decide between Elk, Stack, or Waza. Which would you recommend? Absolutely, positively both. Elk, I mean, people like Elastic, but Elk, the whole Elk thing, they're both useful. They're both something you should probably mess around with if you're talking about for permanency. Here's what you can do. Spin up both of them and take them for a test drive. Let's say I'm going to work with Elk for 2 weeks. It's just going to be me and Elk getting familiar, getting cozy. And then do it with Waza, whatever, however it's pronounced. And do the same thing. See which one you like the best. You'll get hands-on experience with both of them. And you'll get to lean into what you like and what you don't like. You start to form opinions through your experience. All very good stuff. So that would be my opinion on that. All right, guys, everybody, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun, but it is that time for us to call it a day. And until next time, everyone, stay secure.